1, 2, what's up, YouTube? How y'all doing, man? Check it out. Oh, man, this kidney stone is killing me. Hey, I ain't got much to say. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Gene Deal is going to expose some more stuff. Big Ticket. Shout out to Big Ticket, man. He going to talk about some of the stuff Gene Deal exposes. Y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Let's check this bad boy out.
I told you guys the funny thing I thought was, how could DJ Vlad tell a man who was there what a lie and what the truth is if you wasn't there? Gene Deal was there. But DJ Vlad called Gene Deal basically a liar about some things. And Roger Bond says, nah, man. He says Diddy is a piece of shit. Sean Diddy Combs is a piece of shit. And there's been a narrative that's been running on YouTube for years about Gene Deal. A few years now, last couple of years, I would say let's put it last 2 years. People have tried to, say Gene is a liar, he's a capper, and he is a fraud. Now, in that video I just did earlier today, this comment was left up there, which sparked me to double back and do this video. Now, the commenter stated, "People, Gene has a problem. No real straight man talks about another man unless he has some type of secret crush on that man. I believe Gene is a bleep. People, he's making a living talking about other men. Real men from New York City is questioning Gene. Mainstream 65% of so-called black men and women believe anything that these clowns say. Mr. Gene, I think, is working for the government, or he's part of a blank agenda. Think about this, brothers and sisters. 35% whose conscience, real women and real men don't gossip like this. First of all, women gossip like this all the time. Second of all, Gene Deal cannot be a rat. And yeah, Gene Deal has been exposed. It's been exposed for telling the goddamn truth all these years. Let me tell y'all something. Gene Deal, people got on Gene Deal and said, oh, you came on the internet and you doing this for clout, for money. No, you're a goddamn lie. And that was proven today. Thank you, DJ Vladimir. Appreciate you for the alley-oop, brother. You're over there helping solving cases, even though you don't think you are. You showed different aspects of RICO in your interview today, because your interview that you had up, that actually was yesterday now, with Roger Bonds stated in that interview that Sean Diddy Combs ordered the assault of Gene Deal. Why? Because Gene Deal was out here telling the truth and telling everybody about what type of dude Sean Diddy Combs really was. Now, everybody thought that Gene Deal just came to the internet saying this stuff. Roger Bonds let the cat out the bag today. See, DJ Vladimir, who I don't know why anybody deals with this dude. This dude is the worst type of person that can ever be created. DJ Vlad, in my opinion, DJ Vladimir gonna come on YouTube and tell Roger Bonds, who worked for Diddy, these people work for Diddy, what is true and what is not true. How the hell are you gonna have a guest who worked for Diddy and you're gonna talk about what you heard and that person was there and saw these things, but you're gonna talk about what you heard? Condescending. But we thank you, Vlad, because you get exposed every day. And I'm gonna go down and cook on your ass right now. First of all, Roger Bonds exposed this today. The reason why Roger Bonds said that Diddy wanted and ordered the assault on Gene Deal was because, not on YouTube. See, Vlad thinks everything is YouTube. He thinks he owns the YouTube universe and he's everything on YouTube and all these other things, right? Bonds said, nah, man, this ain't no YouTube shit. This is before YouTube. Let me tell y'all this again. These people all talk about Gene Deal exposed, he a fraud. Gene come on the internet talking this shit. And Roger Bond said that Diddy wanted them to put a hurting on Gene Deal in them streets, because Gene Deal was out in the streets of New York before YouTube, in the streets, talking that shit about Diddy and all these things. He said that Gene Deal was in the streets of New York saying all of these things that he's saying on the internet right now before YouTube started. Back in 07, 06, 07, 08, something like that. Oh, yeah. And he said Diddy was irate. And Diddy ordered him that when he seen Gene, to put hands on Gene. And he said that Diddy would ask him repeatedly, did y'all run into Gene? And Bond said, look, real talk, we ran into Gene in the streets in Harlem. We ran into Big Gene. We ain't do nothing, though, when we ran into him. He said they ain't do nothing because they ain't had no smoke with Gene like that. He said, you know why? He said, because Diddy's a piece of shit and we knew it. So when Diddy would ask us, yo, y'all seen Gene? Y'all seen Gene? They would be like, nah, we ain't seen him, even though they ran into Gene in the streets. Because now the biggest lie have been exposed from all of y'all that hate Gene Deal. And Gene, they don't give you your flowers, brother. I'm going to give them to you. Because these people try to make it seem like you came on YouTube just running your mouth. Roger Bonds on DJ Vlad, DJ had shut Vlad up. Vlad had to shut his mouth when Bond said that. Vlad was like, oh, well, YouTube wasn't around in 08 because I was like, YouTube wasn't. He said, no, this ain't YouTube. Bond shut him up. Bond's like, no, this ain't YouTube, dog. This in the streets. Gene was in Harlem, in the streets of Harlem, talking about how Diddy was a you know what out here with these men and stuff like that. And all these things with how he was treating these women and beating on these women. Said Gene was saying that from in the streets before YouTube, when it wasn't even no money behind it. So ask yourself a question. To all these people who make these comments about Big Gene Deal and say all these things about Big Gene Deal, think about what I just said. And Bond said it wasn't just Gene Deal. Bond says that Diddy ordered them to run down on music artist Mark Curry as well. Now, remember, Mark Curry is the one that did the interview. We all heard of our dialogue when he said that they were allegedly spiking those drinks in the club. He said that they straight up were spiking those girls' drinks. He said, Roger Bond said, that they were instructed to run down on Gene Deal and run down on Mark Curry. Now, he says that Uncle Paulie caught up with Mark Curry. He said Uncle Paulie locked Mark Curry in a room. Him and some of the other security. They ran down on Mark Curry. And he said they locked Curry in the room. And he said they asked Curry, yo, why you doing this shit, yo? For you guys who don't know what I'm talking about, Mark Curry had a book that came out. I think it was in 09, 010-ish, right? Where Mark Curry was going in on Diddy. All the stuff that y'all hearing now, he was doing. They were saying this back then. Everybody trying to make it seem like, oh, they clout chasing now because of the no. They been said that, right? So he said that Paulie went in there and straight up asked him. He said that Mark Curry said, yo, man, I'm trying to feed my kids, brother. And he said he straight up looked at him and was like, all right, dog, cool, no problem. You trying to feed your fam, man? No problem. See, Roger Bonds ended that interview with DJ Vlad. And he told DJ Vlad, he said, look, man, we ain't do nothing to Gene. He said, we ran into Gene plenty of times in the streets. Gene was in the streets in Harlem, he said. He said he ran into Gene plenty of times. He said they ain't do nothing to Big Gene when they seen him. Because they ain't even want to get involved in that shit like that. They didn't have no real smoke with Big Gene. He said Diddy was putting a battery in their back to go at Big Gene. But they ain't had no smoke with Big Gene like that. He said, because they knew Diddy was a piece of shit. That's his exact words from Roger Bonds. He said he knew that he was a piece of shit, is what he said. So that's why they didn't move down. Now, I don't know if you guys understand anything, but when you have your security team allegedly order them to go and commit assaults on people, that is racketeering. That's RICO. That goes along the line of racketeering. When you're ordering beatings, assault, and things like that. And he said Diddy would always keep asking, yo, did y'all see Gene? Yo, y'all put hands on Gene? I want y'all to put hands on Gene. He said that. He said that. But they ain't want to run down on Big Gene. Because they knew what time it was. They knew Big Gene was telling the truth. at least for Roger's part. And Roger said that. Now to this brother that made that comment on that screen. You said Gene has a problem. No real straight man talks about another man. Sir, Gene Deal was doing a service to the community, which was helping get this scum out of the black community, right? You don't see a single soul in that courtroom. They all know Diddy's going to prison for the rest of his natural life. He will spend the rest of his natural life in prison. They have there was the jury orders that was presented. And in those orders now, and salute to the homegirl, Kadisha Lynn, because she put out a great video talking about this. They're going to find Diddy guilty for the RICO. And I'm going to tell y'all why. And she exposed it in her video. What everybody didn't know is that for RICO, they have to prove 2 predicate acts in the last 10 years. Now, we showed y'all the RICO chart on this channel. But here's the problem. And I want everybody to listen up. Here's the problem. The problem is that as y'all look on this chart, and as y'all see what you guys are looking at on this chart, there are some things missing that's being charged under the RICO. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, Diddy individually under the RICO is being charged with the solicitation of prostitution. Now, DJ Vlad, you said over there on your channel, and you said that a man paying a woman, giving a woman money for sex is not prostitution. Are you insane, sir?
Are you?
That is the definition of prostitution. Now, me personally, I believe every woman should have a free right to do whatever the hell they want to do with their body. Knock yourself out. Just don't bring it around me. Right? But that's not the law, buddy. See, you can't just come out here and lie and make up rules. You can't do that. You can't lie and make up rules. The definition of prostitution, right, is the practice or occupation of engaging in sexual activity with someone for payment. That's prostitution. Let me repeat this to everybody that's listening to this video. If you pay a person to have sex with them in the United States of America, in most places except for certain areas in Nevada, you going to prison. It's illegal. It's against the law. These are, I want to say this again. It is illegal. You understand what I'm saying? Right? Right? I'm going to repeat myself again because I need the people that's in the back to hear me. DJ Vlad, on his video today, sat up there, and these people lied to y'all. Right? Right? They lie to y'all. Right? And give y'all misinformation. Okay? And this is the sad part about the internet. And people are afraid because, like Kwame Brown say, they are a part of the go along, get along gang. So what they will do is they will pull all these lies to try to cover up for these demons that's running around here, running amok, acting a fool, shaking up the community. But I come with cold, hard evidence tonight. And I'm going to show y'all something. I'm going to show y'all something. Because the youth need to see this so they don't make the same dumbass mistakes. Definition of prostitution. Ladies and gentlemen, prostitution is the practice or occupation of engaging in sexual activity with someone for payment. Ladies and gentlemen, in the United States, prostitution is illegal in nearly all states, with Nevada being the exception. Even in Nevada, prostitution is only legal within specific licensed brothels in some countries, or some counties, excuse me. In many other states, prostitution is a criminal offense with penalties for both the seller and the buyer. Which is why when you had that dude that said he had a fake beefcake, called himself the Punisher, but couldn't get it up.
Oh, come on, man.
And had to get a fake beefcake because he lost his confidence. Running around YouTube, all these news platforms. I don't know why the prosecution would want my testimony. I don't see how my testimony could help the prostitution. Brother, this is common sense. I know it ain't common to have it, but this is common sense, brother. Number one, you didn't have a dirty criminal background to where Diddy's legal team could call your credibility into question on the stand. That's for one. That's one reason why they let you go up there and testify. Let me say this right now. Because if they did, they would have did it. Secondly, sir, because literally you're testifying to prostitution. You testified that you were paid for sex. That's illegal, sir. They literally had you go up there and testify. And you testified under oath because you, sir, broke the law and you admitted under oath that you were paid to have sex. It doesn't get any more simpler than this. So when you run around, I don't know why, man. I don't know what my testimony could really do. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand. Are you crazy, brother? Are you crazy? Crazy? It ain't common for people to have common sense in the world we live in now. Our world is so dumbed down, it is ridiculous. But I got something to tell y'all tonight. They also showed receipts in court. They showed receipts from the company, receipts of payment, of all of these things. And I want y'all to use y'all's mind because the jury is. Everybody says, oh, it was Cassie making those payments. It was Jane Doe making those payments. How they making payments when they broke, man? They literally showed statements in the court of reimbursements, money put into to transfer to them to make the payments from guess who? I'm gonna let you guess. Guess whose company? I'm gonna let you guess. Cassie had no money. You know how you know she didn't have no money? Because when Diddy went and extorted her and her parents and blackmailed them and used that videotape and told them, you give me that $20,000, they had to take out a fucking loan because she was broke, nigga. They ain't had no money. The same thing with Jane Doe. They didn't have any money. This is where the RICO comes in. This is where the organization that comes in, where Diddy thinks because he put a proxy between himself and them that it's going to cover his ass. It's not. They talked about that in court. They said that Diddy used these women to do his acts, his go. You go and hit him up. You go pay him. You go do this. So it wouldn't directly be linked to him.
Mm-hmm.
People don't have no common sense on YouTube. But I come here to tell y'all something tonight. Diddy's in major trouble. And this is why he asked. This is why he filed for this case to be thrown out. And it will be rejected. It will be denied.
Kidnapped.
The reason why. And let me say this before I even get to that. What a damn shame. And shout out to the brother. Shout out to the brother, the homie on YouTube, man. That's out here telling the truth, man. Over there from Hood Educated. If y'all not subscribed to Hood Educated's YouTube channel, man, I don't even know Hood, but salute to that brother, man. Finally, a brother out here telling the truth, man. I'm just keeping it real, trying to help these young folks from making the same stupid ass, capping ass mistakes that this dumb ass Sean Diddy Combs made. But let me put some on y'all brain. This man ain't have no witnesses. First of all, Diddy's lawyer said that Diddy was waiting to get on the stand and testify. Don't y'all remember Diddy's lawyer said he was waiting? Diddy couldn't wait to get on the stand and tell his side of the story and testify? Why all of a sudden it changed? Why won't he get on the stand now? You know why he won't get on the stand? I want to tell the truth to everybody. You know why Diddy won't get on the stand? Diddy's lawyers know if they put Diddy on the stand, they can't control the questions from the prosecution. The same way that Diddy's lawyers tried to go at those girls who came up there and testified against Diddy on cross-examination. They know that on cross-examination, the feds will pull out so much shit on Sean Diddy Combs and get him caught up in so many lies, it'd be over with. That's why they had to change stream. Because, in my opinion, they got privy to some of those things that they were going to ask Diddy on cross-examination. And they did not want that information. And they did not want that to have to be put out to the public because, think about one thing, y'all. The first time Diddy says, I plead the fifth, or I don't want to answer that question, he's toast. Let me repeat myself again. The first time on cross-examination that Diddy says, I plead the fifth, or I don't want to answer that question, that's the Mark Furman moment. He's out of here. He would have to answer every single question they ask him. Right? And he can't say, I don't know. I don't remember. Because they know that the government, the same way Diddy's lawyers try to use that against those girls they demonize on that stand. When they try to bully those girls, they know that when it's Diddy's turn to get on that stand, they can't control what the government's going to ask Diddy. And if Diddy says, I don't know, I don't remember, but you demonize these girls because they didn't remember after all these years. How don't you remember, Diddy? Oh, it was 10, 20 years ago. Oh, but y'all demonized those girls for that. Call them liars for the same thing. Ticket is smart. I'm the smartest one out here. I'm telling you right now. Different level. But ladies and gentlemen, I come tonight to tell you why the feds have outsmarted Sean Diddy Combs. Diddy had 5 charges.
5.
Racketeering, in which a bunch of acts fall under that. Sex trafficking, 2 counts. And solicitation of prostitution. Transportation, 2 counts. But here's the thing. Under the RICO, they only have to find Diddy guilty of 2 of these acts in a 10-year span for RICO. But now, the transportation of prostitution, those charges, each have individually been charged under the RICO. So, Mr. Punisher, you getting on the stand and you testifying that you were paid to go to where Diddy and Cassie were and travel over there to have sex, you would have not only been prosecuted, potentially under the transportation of prostitution if you didn't testify, but they could have got you under the RICO too, because they're charging all these individual acts. Kadisha Lynn, she got it. And I'm going to let you guys hear exactly what she had to say, because they have charged Diddy individually under the RICO, meaning, let me say it again, meaning each sex worker that they paid, that's a different RICO act. All they have to do, and they've already proved that he paid 2 of them. All they have to do is prove that he paid 2 of those sex workers, which they've already done. And under the RICO, where he's been charged individually, he's going to prison. All they needed was 2. I'll let her tell it. I'll let her tell it right now.
Diddy is being charged with the same crime multiple times under the RICO charge. Now, we knew based off the indictment that some of the charges that fall under the RICO charge, Diddy was being charged with more than one time. But now the government has made their verdict list for the jury, and we know exactly what Diddy is being charged with under the RICO. And this is a big deal because with the RICO charge, the jury only has to find Diddy guilty of 2 crimes that fall underneath of it for him to be found guilty of RICO. So let's go ahead and break down all of the charges that are falling under the RICO charge that the jury is going to have to decide if Diddy's guilty of. So as you can see, this is the verdict sheet that the government is wanting the jury to use for all of Diddy's counts. And the first question is if they found Diddy guilty of the RICO charge. If they found him guilty, they want the jury to list out each of the charges that fall under the RICO charge that they found Diddy guilty of. This is also a big deal because the more charges that they say are proven if they find Diddy guilty, it's more time that he will get on the RICO charge. The first one has to do with kidnapping, including attempted kidnapping, aiding and abetting kidnapping, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, and violation of California law. With this kidnapping charge, I would assume that they are talking about Capricorn Clark when she said that she was kidnapped by a pow-pow point to help facilitate the break-in into Kid Cudi's home. Next charge is charge B, and it's the same exact thing with kidnapping. Attempted kidnapping, aiding and abetting kidnapping, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, and violation of New York law. Next one is arson, attempted arson, including aiding and abetting arson or conspiracy to commit arson in violation of California law.
Stop right there. Did y'all hear that? It's not just did he do the arson. It's did he conspire. So they don't even have to prove that Diddy did the arson. Let me repeat myself again. The feds didn't even have to prove that Diddy did the arson. All they have to prove is that he conspired, aided, or abetted. It's right there on your screen.
Damn.
Arson plus attempted or conspired. If they even think, let me repeat myself again. Not that they have to prove he did it. If they even think. Which is why they talked about the bad boy license plates leaving Kid Cudi's home when the police officer testified. And that puts Diddy dead on in liability. Because why in the hell would Bad Boy plated SUV be leaving at home when that car was burnt down? If they had nothing to do with that situation. And then Kid Cudi's testimony. Damning testimony.
And we all know this one. This is about Kid Cudi's car being set on fire. And remind you, this is also a big deal because we had that police officer testify that he saw the Bad Boy Escalade in Kid Cudi's parking lot. And he saw them again going down the other side of the road. Next charge is bribery, including attempted bribery, aiding and abetting bribery.
That's it. Attempted bribery. Read the next line. Bribery of a witness. Doesn't mean you had to bribe them. It means you could have attempted to bribe them. You could have conspired to bribe them. All they have to do is think that Diddy even thought about doing that. And he's toast. Let's keep going.
Or conspiracy to commit bribery under California law. I would assume that was Diddy trying to bribe that hotel security worker to give him the videotape of that hotel footage of him assaulting Cassie. Next one is tampering with a witness or victim in violation of federal law.
Now, let me tell y'all about this real quick. Why it was very bad that Diddy had no defense. Diddy having no defense destroys him. First of all, it shows that nobody gives a shit about this dude. They all hate him. It's like the Brotherhood educator said. The industry show you how they feel about you. The people show you how they feel about you. They think that you're shit. They cool with you when you out because you control the circumstances with your money, your influence, your power. But now that you don't control the circumstances, they show you how they really feel about you. Because when people really love you and genuinely have love and care about you, they stand on business for you. None of those people genuinely love Diddy. Everybody around Diddy was bought and paid for. Point blank, period. These are all facts. These are all facts. Nobody wants to admit it, except for a few righteous people. But these are all facts. All facts. Right? And that's what happened. That's what happened. Now, think about what I'm telling y'all right here. The witness tampering. Diddy got destroyed with that because Eddie testified for the government. Why did Eddie testify for the government? Because Eddie did not want to be prosecuted with Diddy and be caught in a lie. So he gave testimony for the government, meaning that Diddy has no witnesses. It would have been different if Eddie would have testified for Diddy. But think about this. All of these people testified against Diddy. And let me say this to y'all too. I truly believe another reason why Diddy did not have anybody testify for him is because nobody wanted to perjure themselves in federal court. Let me repeat myself again. Nobody was willing to walk into court and lie for what Roger Bond says is a piece of shit, Sean Diddy Combs. Because if you get on that stand in federal court and you lie one time, you can be charged under the penalty of perjury and face multiple years in prison. That is another reason why, in my opinion, Diddy had zero witnesses willing to speak up on his behalf. Nobody in the industry. Think about this. Nobody. This man had nobody. He didn't even have family, friends. Why? Because they know. And the truth has to be told. They know that any of that immediate family getting on a stand, because normally when you go to court, You're in a situation like that. You have family, you have friends, you have loved ones that get up on the stand and speak up for your character. But here's the thing. The same way that they can get up there and answer questions about you and your character and things that went on, the same way the prosecution can do their homework on you and cross-examine you and twist you and get you to potentially admit that you were involved in some things. This is why, in my humble opinion, none of the family members, nobody, dared took the stand to testify for this man. They knew what was coming on cross-examination, and they had to keep everybody else shielded from that. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I believe what the prosecution had in questions for all of those family members that would have went up there, all of those associates that would have went up there, because they had to give them the list to check these people. The same way Diddy's lawyer got the list of witnesses for the prosecution, they had to give him the witnesses for the defense ahead of time. You would have put those guys on the stand, those ladies on the stand, and it would have been game over, because the feds, they always do their homework. And they would have had the entire rundown on these people's lives, personal situations. They could have brought in situations where people lied and they could prove that they lied and completely destroy people, tie people up in the criminal activity on the stand. That's why, in my opinion, not one witness got on that stand. Nobody wanted to put themselves in this line of fire, especially with the world watching in federal court. Nobody. And Diddy's going to go to prison, and he's going to sit in that cell, and he's going to think about this. And I heard somebody say, oh man, well, all these other things they said were lies about Diddy. Where's all these other things? They didn't charge it, buddy. They only charged Diddy for a few things in this trial because they know that Diddy has a lifeline that's out there potentially sitting in the Oval Office. But they also know that that lifeline in 3.5 years are going to run out. And they can come back on him and hit him with all different charges that they didn't charge him with in this charge. Because let me tell you guys something. If the president were to come after Sean Diddy Combs is found guilty and give him a pardon, the feds would never be able to bring Diddy up on these same charges that he was pardoned on ever again. So what did the feds do? They outsmarted everybody. They didn't bring him up on everything they could. How do I know? They wrote it in the pretrial paperwork. They held that in their back pocket just in case. You remember when John Gotti beat his case? Not once, not twice, but 3 times. The feds kept coming, and they finally got him the 4th time. They wouldn't stop. People think the feds are going to stop with Diddy if he gets bailed out by Trump. They think that the feds are just going to stop. No. They're just going to hit him with the other crimes they already could have hit him with that they didn't. That way, they won't be caught up in what you call double jeopardy. These are all facts. Let's keep going.
To give him the videotape of that hotel footage of him assaulting Cassie. Next one is tampering with a witness or victim in violation of federal law. This one, we know this is one of the...
Let me say this. I have to say this to everybody. Here's something, and I'm going to put this out here to everybody again. They say, oh, Ticket, what else do they have on Diddy? Ladies and gentlemen, let me say 2 things that nobody I've heard say this since talking about this case. every witness that got immunity, every witness now belongs to the feds. I'm going to tell you why. What they did is they built the groundwork for future charges against Sean Diddy Combs. What do I mean? They talked in this case about Diddy using large amounts of money, company money, things like that to pay for all of these things. Using cash money that wasn't accounted for in his taxes. See, they lightweight have, in my opinion, during this case, got witnesses to basically begin the realms of other cases against Diddy. But here's the thing people forgot. All of those people who got immunity agreements, anytime the feds want them to come testify in any case, being for Diddy in the future or for all of the co-conspirators that are getting ready to get charged as soon as Diddy's found guilty, once they have their court dates, which many of them are going to take plea deals. Maybe one of them will sit out and fight it in court, but most of them will take pleas and go to jail for 15 years. But because they didn't give up information that first time when they was offered full immunity. But when you're offered full immunity like that, you forgot. Whenever the feds need you to come testify, you got to go testify again and again and again and again. So if the feds were to bring up Diddy on other charges that was related to any testimony that any of these witnesses gave in this trial, they would have to come and testify to those things in a different trial in order to honor their immunity agreement. Case in point. For example, if Diddy were to be brought up on money laundering charges or tax evasion charges, and those people testified to getting this cash money and paying this money and all these other things, they would have to come to court again if the feds needed them to testify once again. And all those, they don't have an option. That's why when people say, "Oh, well, if Diddy if Diddy gets a mistrial, the witnesses ain't coming back." Yes, they are. They don't have an option. Janet Jackass. They signed immunity agreements.
Janet
which means
Jackass.
the feds tell you, you bring your ass right back here to court, and we're going to go through this again, and you're going to testify again. Or your immunity agreement is off. When you sign an immunity agreement, the feds own your ass. Let me make that clear again. They own your ass, man. People need to understand this. Basic law. Common law. So all of the people that y'all seen testifying, saying Christina Quorum's name and all these other people, they will be called to testify again in their individual cases. You will go through it all again. They will be called back to court. They will have to go in and testify to those statements again in court for as many co-defendants want to fight their case in court. They will continue to have to go to court until the feds do not need them anymore. And the first time that they buck the system or they act like they don't want to do it, the feds can void the immunity agreement and charge them. That's the part people forgetting and ain't even talking about. Let's keep going.
assaulting Cassie. Next one is tampering with a witness or victim in violation of federal law. This one, we know this is one of the reasons that they denied Diddy's bail, because they said that they had jail recorded phone calls of Diddy still doing this in jail. We also heard testimony from a couple people that alleged that the same.
And that's another thing. Let me stop right there. The reason why Diddy's motion to have this trial dismissed is going to be rejected, the judge already rejected Diddy's bail of $50 million because of the evidence that he stated that he saw. And under no circumstances could he allow Diddy to be free off on bail. So now that the whole world has seen the evidence, you think the judge is going to turn around and change his decision? No chance in hell. Let's keep going.
Thing was happening with them. Next one involves forced labor in violation of federal law. We know the forced labor charge is coming from Mia, one of Diddy's former personal assistants.
And I disagree with Kadisha Lynn. It's not just Mia. The forced labor charge is coming with multiple people. You know why? Because they asked all of them how many hours they were working. That's forced labor.
With no
and
overtime.
Another charge they can hit Diddy with, Fed charge. Because all those people went up there and testified to illegal activity, working 5 straight days without rest, 3 straight days without rest. That's illegal. In fact, that's so illegal. If any of those people that were employed by Diddy would have reported Diddy at that time, Diddy would have been shut down, he would have been fined, and he probably would have been charged. You had multiple people state that they worked days without rest. That is forced labor. That is forced labor. Also, the women who said that they had to have sex for 4 straight days sometimes with multiple partners, freak-offs, that's forced labor. So all these things, you had multiple people testify that they was working up to 100 hours a week. That's why they specifically asked them, how many days in a row did y'all work sometimes? Oh, I worked 3 days in a row without sleep sometimes. Diddy had me working 5 days in a row, the girl said. I damn near fell out. I lost all my capacities and fell out. That's illegal. That's forced labor. So it ain't just one. That's why they got all those people to testify about how many hours Diddy had him working. That's forced labor. Let's keep, plus the aiding and abetting, meaning the aiding and abetting of the criminal enterprise. So all those people testified to 2 things. Think about this. They testified to forced labor, and they also testified to illegal activity, passing Diddy drugs. Don't y'all know that's illegal? It's illegal if I go and buy drugs from somebody and go take it to Diddy. That's illegal. That's not legal. I can't go buy illegal drugs from somebody and go give it to Diddy for his personal use. That's illegal. That's aiding, forced labor. Look at 13E on your screen. Forced labor plus aiding and abetting. Period. It's right there. But people praise the demons. They want these devils to win. They want to act like they hood and street. So they stick by a fucking stupid ass goddamn code. They don't have no love for them, nigga.
Whoa.
That code ain't got no love for you. That fucking code putting our black men and our black women in prison for the rest of their fucking lives.
Whoa. Easy, baby. Easy.
And it needs to be said like that.
Facts.
Let's keep going.
Charge that falls under the RICO is the trafficking in violation of federal law. This will be about Cassie Ventura and or Jane. Next one is transportation for the purposes of prostitution in violation of federal law. And then this charge comes up again for a second time in violation of federal law. The last charge is falling under this RICO charge is distribution and possessing with the intent to distribute controlled substances in violation of federal law. If Diddy is found guilty of trafficking under the RICO, they want to know if it was for Cassie Ventura, Jane, or both of them. And this is because they actually have a special sentencing factor that was in Diddy's indictment. And if he's found guilty of both of these under the RICO charge, that means that Diddy is risking even more time for the RICO. With the special sentencing factor, the judge can basically give Diddy more time for not learning his lesson the first time. And we'll go ahead and finish with Diddy's other charges. We know count 2 is the trafficking of Cassie Ventura. And then count 3 is transportation with the intent to commit prostitution relating to Cassie Ventura. Count 4 is trafficking of Jane. And count 5 is transportation with the intent to commit prostitution relating to Jane. So yeah, this is all of the charges that the jury is going to have to determine if Diddy is guilty or not.
And that's the thing people forget. Everybody thinks, let me say this again, everybody thinks that it's just, oh, you get one juror to say not guilty and that's it. That's not how it works. The jurors get listed. They have to check off certain things. If any juror checks off no for every single charge, that juror automatically will ring bells. And they've hit this dude on multiple different charges. So 2 transportation for prostitution charges under the RICO. So let's just say that we've already seen that he made payments, and they've had testimony that he made payments to 2 or more different sex workers. All they have to do is find 2 of those within that year span that he did. Just 2 of those sex workers that they paid. That's RICO. Prison. Right there. And then everything else he gets found guilty of, more prison time that the judge can just tack on just for shits and giggles.
Shits and giggles.
There's no way he's going to get found not guilty, bro. Because they have checklists. It's not a, oh, do you think he's guilty of sex trafficking? Yes or no? No, it's not like that. They have broken it down in compartments. And they have to go through all of these different compartments. And they're given specific instructions on how to vote on these things. That's the part y'all need to understand. Diddy needs a person that's going to go in there and check no on every single column. I'm talking about every column. Think about what I just said.
Mm-hmm.
All they need is 2. And they got RICO. Period. There is no plea at this point. They're beyond plea bargaining, y'all. Diddy went to court and he went through his case. He will now be sentenced. There is no plea bargaining now. The plea bargain time was over with. It's over with. And it doesn't matter what Diddy's lawyers say at this point. The evidence, which will be presented to the juries in the jury room, which clearly show the payments for transportation of prostitution, the 2 charges. All they have to do is click guilty, guilty for 2 of those, and he's out of there. That's it. That's it. And if there is a juror that clicks no, you better believe there'll be an instant investigation in that juror. Any juror that clicks no for every single answer when all that evidence was shown, nope. So I suppose the jury's going to take about 2 days to go through all the evidence and, basically mark down every single thing. And then they'll take all these jurors' lists and they'll see 2 that everybody agreed on their list. And that's how it's going to go. And then Diddy's going to get sentenced, in my opinion, under the RICO. And we're just talking about the RICO. We ain't even talking about the sex trafficking. Sex trafficking don't even matter. Everybody talking about sex trafficking. That shit don't even matter. The RICO is the most important shit. That's the part that they lied to y'all about. That's why RICO was the number 1 charge. Everybody kept talking about, oh, this is sex trafficking. No, it's not. Nigga, this is RICO. The RICO is the biggest charge because the RICO is the one that's facing life. That's the one that holds the life penalty. Now, when everybody says, Tiki, you keep saying Diddy going to get life in prison. Yeah, when I say life, that means that he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. I'm not saying the judge is going to say, hey, I sentence you to life in prison. I'm saying the judge going to say, man, you get 30 years. That's life for Diddy. 30 years? And you 56 years old? R. Kelly, he got a life sentence. R. Kelly been sentenced to 30 years. He got that's life. That's life.
Shit.
That's life. So that's what I'm talking about when I say what I said. Right? So, again, very, very, very bad move. And I believe after this case that you will start hearing some things about money and different things like that. Because I'm going to tell y'all something. A lot of stuff is going to come out. When Diddy's lawyers lose this case, everybody's going to want to know why. And this is the problem. Let me say this to y'all. When you got this many, let me repeat myself. When you got that many lawyers and you lose, finger pointing a MOFO. Finger pointing is a MOFO. Because ain't nobody going to want to look bad. You think any of these 80% white lawyers Diddy got going to want to look bad for losing this type of case? Hell no. It's going to be finger pointing like a MOFO. Oh, no, he didn't do what he was supposed to do. Nah, man, he tried to control this kid. Nah, and she did this. Nah, man, they didn't listen to me. Oh, you going to hear it all. DJ Vladimir has already come out and claimed that somehow he knows. Somehow DJ Vladimir says he knows. And he's heard that Diddy has been cheap with his lawyers. And that he didn't want to pay for the proper analysis and all these other people that he needed. And that Diddy has been cheap with his lawyers. DJ Vlad said that. Well, think about the only black man that's on here checking his ass. Me.
The only black man checking his ass. Me.
Right? Think about it. It's easy work. Now back to him. A real one. Because Roger Barnes said that Gene wasn't just on the internet saying that shit he was saying. Roger Barnes said Diddy was mad at Gene back in 07, 08. Because Gene Deal was talking that shit in the streets. Oh yeah, he said Gene was talking that shit in the streets. And that's why Diddy wanted Gene to get assaulted by them. Because Gene was in the streets telling people about these salacious things that Diddy had going on and how he was mistreating the woman and shit like that. They said this is before YouTube. Gene was out there in them streets. And he said they bumped into Gene in Harlem a few times. But it never went left because Diddy wasn't with them and they ain't had no issue with Gene. Straight up. Right? Gene, salute to you, brother. Salute to you. I know they coming at you sometimes. They trying to question you and shit like that, bro. People don't understand, man, certain situations that cats be in, man. You know what I mean? A lot of people be trying to feed their family and shit, man. It's like if you got a friend and you trying to keep your friend out of trouble and your friend hard-headed, it's like you try to hang on as long as you can. It's like if you got a family member. But then at some point, when you see that this mofo ain't got, like, no chance, bro, you just like, man. And I think Gene seen some shit that was so treacherous in this nigga Diddy, just in his character, that it was no way I think that he could let it be on his conscience that these people was secretly crying out. Because, you know, people were secretly crying out. And I'm telling y'all something. When Diddy's found guilty, that is when all the other allegations are going to come out. Front row. Because now people are going to feel safe. And people are going to say, oh, he's behind bars now. Now I can come. Now y'all really finna see the shit fly. See, a lot of people still scared because they in the limbo. They think Diddy going to walk. But when they hear guilty, watch the very next week after they hear guilty. Watch how many people start coming out. People in the industry talking shit about the nigga, saying how he had a stronghold. All kind of people. Y'all gonna see.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all gonna see. But I respect Gene, because Gene didn't just wait for YouTube to pop off. Roger Bond said Gene was talking that shit in the streets. That's why Diddy want to smoke with that nigga. He said Gene was talking that shit in the street before YouTube. And everybody tried to say, Gene, wait to come to YouTube. Now, all of a sudden, nope. Bond said Gene was talking that shit in the streets, nigga. And he said that's why Diddy wanted that nigga touched. But Bond said they ain't touch him because they knew that Diddy was a piece of shit. That's exactly what Roger Bond said. Don't get mad at me. I'm going to put the link to the video at the top of the comment section. Go watch it yourself. Thank you, DJ Vlad. We appreciate you for helping get more allegations against Diddy out there. For some reason, these people continue to go to your channel. I know why. Because you giving out a check. See, you think, in my opinion, sir, I ain't even going to say that. Let me say it like this. Some people think that I can just give anybody a check and it'll pay my way out of any situation. Meaning, some people might be so desperate for a check, they're willing to let you disrespect their people, let you see multiple people get locked up, and still go on these platforms. Think about what I said. Think about, and Bonds stay cooking DJ Vlad over there. Vlad stay over there trying to cap. Bonds like, nah, man. I could see that shit happen. Dude, a piece of shit. But don't nobody want to hear that part. But when reality sets in, and you see that this nigga don't have no character, none. Nobody willing to get on the stand and speak for this nigga. Nobody. Diddy's team was supposed to have a whole list of people. They're supposed to have a 2-week defense. These mofos didn't have no defense. They didn't have no, all they said was, oh, well, we're going to enter some tech. Are you crazy? If I'm Diddy, you pay all that money for all them lawyers. Nigga, we ain't got no witnesses.
Not one.
I want y'all to think about this shit. This is worse than going to Iraq and them not having WMDs. We ain't got no witnesses around this mofo. None. I'm paying y'all all this money and we ain't got no witnesses. We ain't got no defense. What? Bro, Diddy's a billionaire. You should be able to get a mofo to come on that stand and say some shit.
That's what he been doing. That's what got him in trouble.
Think about that. This man, that's forever going to be the epic line right there, too. When they lose this case, they're going to come back to that. This man had 0 witnesses, bro. None. He say I want y'all to think about this shit. Did he say all these people's lying? This nigga ain't got one witness.
To say that these people lying.
Get up on that stand.
Now, one person is saying that
all these niggas on YouTube capping. In the comment section, making these videos, fucking capping, nigga. That nigga ain't got one nigga to walk on that stand and say, hey, man, they lying.
Hi.
Disgrace. Not one. The prosecution, they cut witnesses. They didn't need them. They had so many people willing to testify against this nigga. They cut witnesses. This man didn't have no family get on the stand, no loved ones get on the stand, no crowd of supporters outside. That shit was sad. That nigga had one person outside wearing a Free Puff t-shirt.
Yeah, one person. That's facts. Go on, ticket.
One person.
One person went in and one person outside.
That shit was sad. But it go to show you. This is why everybody in the industry need to learn. Bro, people only fuck with you for your money, man. They don't care about you.
Mm-hmm.
This is when you know when people really love you or they don't love you. This is when you find out. I'm telling y'all, this is the reality check of life, my nigga. When you find out what type of person you are. Let me tell everybody in this comment section something, man. When you go through some shit in life, bro, when you going through something in life, my nigga, as I look around, my nigga, who's standing with me? Not when I'm at my ups. Everybody gonna be standing beside you when you on top. When you up and you on top, everybody standing tall with you, right? But when you hit rock bottom in life, you look around and you see who's still standing with you. Those are the people that love you.
Facts.
Those are the people that care about you. Those are the people that respect you. This man have none. He have none. This is the worst thing that I've ever seen. Ever. And that shit gonna burn his spirit. When he's sitting in that cell, every single day, when he's sitting in that cell, and it sinks in that this is life, nigga, it's gonna burn him. That not one person, not one, and it's gonna burn him that the only nigga that did go to the courthouse for him, that was a celeb, was the one who did a photo op and left after 20 minutes. And Kanye West. What a disgrace. What a disgrace. That shows you what type of person you are when nobody will stand up for you in your worst moments. That show you. Right? Like, share, subscribe, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. And let me say this to y'all. Big Gene, you know how you know he a real nigga? Cause Big Gene been talking all this shit and walking around without no issues. You know why? Cause most of the real general public agree with that nigga. I'm gone.
I'm gone.
All right, you guys. So we appreciate everybody that popped in, supported this.
I'm gone. Hey, y'all tell me what y'all think, man. Gene is real, but I know one thing. All the tricks that Diddy tried, it seemed like none of it worked. There was not a load of people out front of the courthouse. I had to come back, man. I said, man, I wasn't feeling it. I wish I would have stayed. I didn't know we was going to get that much love. I might go back up there. I might squeeze it, man. I'm working on some different things. But when I went up there, I saw one dude up there with the free Diddy. And wasn't nobody messing with him. He wasn't saying nothing. He was just recording this little footage. You know, I thought, to be honest, I just thought he was wearing the shirt as a joke. Yeah, I got on the free Diddy shirt just so people can come up and say something to me. Like, yo, man, it's just a shirt. That's how I felt like he was. It wasn't like he was out there, free Diddy. Diddy didn't do it. He wasn't doing none of that type of stuff. He was just filming. He would rap with people and they was talking about all kinds of stuff. They like he had on a different shirt. He was fitting in with everybody. So I'm like, where you get? Yeah, man, I got inside connection. This ain't the shirt they was giving out. This a different shirt, man. And all. I'm like, dude, I ain't tripping off your shirt. If you think that's in style or some shit, I mean some stuff, you know, you got it twisted. I was just wondering why you wearing that shirt. And the next day he still had that shirt on. But what he was doing was that was foul. That lets you know what kind of person they are, right? So what he did was at least a shirt that's under it, because it was a short sleeve shirt, but he had on a different long sleeve shirt. I guess that's his way of letting everybody know that he changed his shirt. Man, get out of here. Anyway, I'm gonna get on up out here. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Let me know if y'all into and all that type of stuff. I'll be checking out the comments. Love y'all so much, man. Hey, y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.